Cool, so the recording started. This is the NWC show, episode 7, I'm sure it is. And if you want to introduce yourself.
Well, I'm Big Scudmaster Sexy Krieger, one half of the ICW Tag Team Champions, taking a wee break at Making Towns and Scud and Clowns to come on have a nice wee chat about wrestling. I like how I said that when really I've not been making any clowns or scudding any clowns this year. I've been sitting in my arse on the couch.
I think everybody's been sitting eating pizza and
I can't lie, I'm going to dread it. The first time I need to put my gear back on, I'm going to hate what I've done, but I can't lie, I've started to enjoy eating cake for breakfast, so it's going to be an interesting squeeze back into that singlet, I think.
I mean, I for the first part of lockdown, I didn't wear any like normal clothes. It was just like shirts, because if I was doing like a meeting, it was just like wear my shirt, joggies on, and then I put jeans on, and I was like, oh shit, I put a wee bit of weight on.
I think we should just all make an agreement, and we can change fashion together. See if we all agree, start going to work with joggies on. Nobody can stop us. If everybody does it, they're not going to sack the lot of us, are they?
I know, just dress joggies, like exactly. You have your
mate, that's a Dragon's Den idea, that, by the way.
It could be like your nicer joggies for later on in the day and stuff like that. It makes it better, but I
think we should stop talking about this, because there's going to be somebody that steals our idea here. We'll talk about this once we've got a pattern for it.
So the first question we always ask is, what got you into wrestling? What's that first moment that like you seen it and you were like, this is the shit I need to watch?
I always used to watch it with my big brother when I was wee. We would sit up on a Friday night and watch the wrestling. And as weird as it sounds, I think the first sort of storyline that I can remember, and it sounds weird, but the first storyline I can remember was Triple H marrying Stephanie. And I can remember, I always make a joke about how that was weird, obviously. The weird whole drugging her thing was the first thing I can remember. But I can really remember being so invested and see the match that then Vince and Triple H had. I want to say Armageddon. I can't mind what year that would have been if I had to guess. Maybe 98, 99 maybe. Maybe even earlier. And I can remember it where it started with Vince threw was it sand or salt or something in his eyes and blinded him. And I can remember being so invested in that match and really getting, even when I was a wee boy, getting so annoyed when Stephanie decided to turn on her old man. And then I've just been hooked ever since. It's just every day that you talk to, it's either a fan or a wrestler. There's no half measures with wrestling. No, you're either completely obsessed with it or you could not care less.
You either like full balls deep in it, or you just you never watch it. You maybe get a WrestleMania, you Google it or something. But
that's only wee half measure. You maybe get folks that will watch WrestleMania and that's it. But nah, it's just we're some of the unlucky ones, but it's obviously grabbed us for a young age and we can't get rid of it now.
Aye, man, some would say it's a curse, but
What's yours?
Can
you remember your earliest memory?
I was in my mum's friend's house and it was like on TV. You'll remember VHS tapes for like way back in the day. There's some people who've had on it don't even know what VHS tapes are, so I feel old. But I seen it and I was like, oh, this is like amazing. I sat and watched it, and then I never really got into it again till like around about 99, 98. I got a few VHSs for the Forge. And my mum was like, just go in the room and watch them. And it was obviously it was like 2 WCW ones, which were like 3-4 years long, and then King of the Ring 99. I sat and watched them consistently, and just ever since then, I was like, this is my thing. Like, I love this. This is what I do. I even went and done like training at the old SWA, because I know kind of feel like the same area, so you probably would know them. And it was just beastie, man, because just make you. It was like my first time. It was just made you run round when it was in the wee old garage place, like in the middle of was it Linwood or something? It made you just run it, and I was like the only person left. I was like being sick and stuff. The guys like, forgot you were out there running.
I spewed my first training session. So I started training. It was over in the Airdrie Sports Centre. Was my first session, And I got there. I had read the website wrong, and I got there an hour early. So I thought, oh, fuck, I'm not going to wait in the sports centre for an hour. I'll go get something to eat. So I went to the services and got a tuna sandwich, and I would never advise anybody to get tuna at a service station. And I ate it, and then I done a couple of laps, and it wasn't even the building. It was just we fucking like set up mats to try and be the sort of size of a ring, and we were just running around that a couple of times. That shows you how bad my fitness was then. And I was like that to Big TJ. I was like, oh, I need to go to the toilet. Tried to get in the guys' toilets. Toilets were locked. So I was like, I'm not going to spew in the corridor. But in the women's toilets, all the cubicles were locked. So I just spewed all the showers. And it's one of the lowest points in my life. Not even wrestling, it's one of the lowest points in my life.
You just think back sometimes, you're like, we're having, and first thing in the morning when it's cold, you wake up and you're like, oh, why did I do that, man? Like, why is this coming back to me now?
Oh, honestly, man. Honestly, you wake up in cold sweats and everything about it.
No, man, I think everybody's got these stories for like the start of like wrestling training, kind of, or like their first early kind of matches and stuff. Like, for me, I remember getting smacked out the ring by this like fucking 7 feet guy just leveled me, and I was like, what am I doing? Where am I? But I mean, it was like that kind of time. Like, cool enough for growing up in Scotland, sports isn't really like heavily invested in Scotland. Professional wrestling back when I was getting into it, which was like 10 years ago or something, is like even less like barely anybody was looking at it. So it was like a garage, nowhere to get changed, just outside with your boxers on, like try to get like trousers on and stuff. So it was, when people look at it like the ICW's thing in Glasgow and stuff like that, I'm like, it's all nice and clean and stuff. That's insane. Wish I had that.
It's mad. But see, especially when you consider, like you're saying, see the sort of conditions that folk. I was lucky, obviously, I was training at sports centres or stuff like that, so it wasn't as if I was training in bad places. But see, when you think about the sort of conditions they used to have and still the amount of talent that came through there, it's ridiculous, man. That they didn't have any facilities that you would probably say they needed, and they still produced fucking WWE champions, you know what I mean?
I know, like, with ICW, I remember going and watching them up in Maryhill, like the community centre, and sometimes it was like 6 people there.
Yeah.
And I was like, how the hell are these guys making money? like, mad, 6 people here, and then you look now, like the hydro and stuff, and I'm like, that's insane.
Madness, man. Madness, it's been, like you say, when you look back on it, it's a crazy journey that they've had, man. It really is.
100%. Another thing we always ask is, so how long for yourself? How long have you been in the business?
So I debuted in 2014. So what's that? This will be my 7th year if we still count last year. I had a couple of matches last year, so that still counts. So I started training maybe towards the start of 2013, I think. So probably training for about 8 years, on shows about 7. It was something that I'd always wanted to get into, and then I'd never really. It wasn't even as if I decided not to go. I hadn't even checked it out. I just sort of assumed there was nothing like that near me, and then just one day I just googled it. Googled wrestling schools in Scotland. I got all sorts of hits. Lucky enough, there was one not that far from me, so gave it a bash, and I've not looked back since. So can't complain too much.
I know when I think first time I ever went to training was like 2007, 2008, something like that. And it was like, obviously, between then and when you went, there was a little bit, it was sports centres and stuff. So it was like, I think like it's insane, obviously, to see the kind of journey to how far it's came. And especially like ICW, I was checking some of your matches out as well. Preparing for the podcast and stuff like that. I ended up in this poor ICW hole last night, so I was enjoying them. So what's the something in today's kind of product, so obviously with WWE and kind of stuff like that, what's something that you dislike? Just what's something you're like in the wrestling world, you're like, I don't really like that about
it? I don't really like the fact, I don't like the way that, and we're all bad for it, I guess, but it's human nature, but I don't really like the way that people are choosing like fans or anybody, I don't like the way people are choosing one of the companies as if it's a football team. Do you know what I mean? Like, you go on Twitter and you see these people that if AEW put on a brilliant show, they'll tweet saying, WWE was better, or vice versa. Do you know what I mean? Just enjoy both, man. Enjoy both. Like, we've not had this amount of brilliant wrestling easily accessible on TV. Do you know what I mean? Easily accessible for everybody to watch. We've not had this in years and years and years. So just enjoy it, man. I really don't like the fact that people are just they're never happy with what they've got. Do you know what I mean? Just enjoy what we have, because if history teaches you anything, it's not going to be about forever. Do you know what I mean?
100%, man. I the only reason I started this show is because I was watching wrestling and AEW came around. But like, I just watch wrestling. I like it. If there's a shit match or whatever, I'll say it's shit. But like,
no, exactly, mate. Exactly. Like, I've got nothing wrong with people having favourites. Do you know what I mean? Like, say my people have favourite TV shows. Do you know what I mean? That's absolutely fine. But like, just because I like The Simpsons doesn't mean that I think Family Guy's shite. Do you know what I mean? I just prefer The Simpsons.
100%, man. I honestly don't get the pure like, the AEW pure like, this is like our team, like never watch, or like talking about New Japan Pro Wrestling and stuff like that. I'm like, just watch it, enjoy everything. Like, it's just fun to enjoy. Plus, I think we grew up in an area where Celtic and Rangers has ruined that for everybody in Scotland. So nobody picks sides here.
Okay, I know. No, I agree with you, mate. Just sit and watch it. If you like something, say it. If you don't like it, fine. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be for everybody, but just wind your neck in and enjoy yourself.
And what's something that you love about today's product? Like, is it because there's so much of it, or?
Obviously that's a massive bit. The fact that there is so much. Like, when I was growing up, like, I was born in '94, so by the time I started watching wrestling, sort of WCW was kind of on the way out. So obviously the only real thing I got to watch was WWE growing up. But the fact now that if you wanted and if you had time, like, you're maybe talking what you could easily watch a wrestling show almost 7 days a week. Obviously that's not counting streaming services and that, but you could watch like a new weekly episode almost every day a week between WWE, AEW, Impact, even places like MLW, ROH or whatever. Like, there is so much going about, and I think as well, I quite like, personally, I like the fact that there seems to be there's maybe more of a focus on the actual wrestling side of things now. I feel like when we were growing up, do you know what I mean? Like, as much as we loved it growing up, see if you go back and watch like Attitude Era Raws, for example, now, like, you're lucky if the matches are 5-6 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And it's good fun, obviously. It's a good fun watch, but I think maybe the older I've got, I like, for example, see Daniel Bryan and Cesaro on SmackDown the other week. Like, that's the sort of stuff that I personally enjoy watching. Like I said, I know it's not for everybody. You're going to get people that much prefer the sort of character, story-based stuff. That's fine. But personally, I like the fact that there seems to be more of a focus on the actual wrestling side of things now.
100%, man. When I was younger, I used to be put into I was going to say ICW, I meant ECW and stuff like that. I like the pure hardcore stuff and stuff. I was like, this is amazing. And as much as I get older, I'm like, I really prefer just like Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, or like just somebody having a great wrestling match. But like you said, there's so much good wrestling out there. It's a bad match happens, but in and AEW has a bad match or two, then NXT has a bad match or two. It's still like 16, 17 matches that are really good on a night. So it's like,
I know. It's mental.
Sometimes for me as well, to try and do like reviews, it's like, when do I get the time to sit and watch this stuff?
That must be really difficult if you've got some sort of like business or podcast or something where your actual job is to review it. It must be, as much as I'm saying it's brilliant, there's so much. If your job is to sit and watch it all and you don't have a choice, it must be difficult to fit it all in. But for the outside looking in, it's a good problem to have for me. But
it's good for me as well. It gives me content to make. Plus, I'm always awake. I get up at 3 a.m. and I don't go to bed till like 12, so I'm just never asleep. And where do you see yourself in 10 years? Do you see yourself in like WWE, or do you see yourself just beating people or something?
I would love to get a contract somewhere. That's the main goal. That's been the goal since I got into wrestling, really. Obviously, like I said, growing up watching WWE, I would be lying if you said that. And I think most people are the same of my age. Again, because of what they grew up with. I think the ultimate goal for a lot of people is obviously like a WrestleMania or something. But first, nowadays the main goal is to get a contract somewhere. The second goal out with that would be keep doing what I'm doing, keep a busy schedule on the indies, if you will. Keep running some wee shows myself, and just sort of. The only thing I can really say for certain is, in one way, shape, or form, I'll still be involved in wrestling in some way in 10 years. Hopefully, I'm still wrestling. I'm 27 this year, so I'll be 37 in 10 years. You know what I mean? Fuck's sake, what age is Goldberg? Do you know what I mean? I've got fucking. I'll just be hitting my fucking peak in 10 year time. Do you know what I mean? So, but that's his. Like, I would be lying if I tell you the main goal wasn't to try and get a contract somewhere. And obviously nowadays the most realistic one for us, or the one that possibly seems within touching distance the most for everybody, is obviously WWE UK. But you would go anywhere and everywhere. To be honest with you, I'm a big mercenary. Whoever wants me can get me.
Just as long as they offer you anything, I'll be there.
Anything at all, I'll be there.
We're quite similar ages. I turned 30 this year, man, which is making me mega stressed as it is. But my fiance turns 30 in like a couple of days, so it's like 4 months between it, and I get to be still in my 20s for 4 months. So you know what it's like. I'm going to be gloating for ages that I'm still the younger man. But no, but I'm pretty much the same. I would probably be wrestling just now if I didn't break my neck, because when I done that, I was like, it was my fault, man. I was climbing at the ring, I slipped and I fell. Like the way I fell, my neck just like pure bent, and the doctor was like, "But it's pretty bad." I'm not sure how you got here. I literally waited like 6 weeks. It was poor pain. It was all like discoloured and stuff, and I went to the hospital when I came back here because I was in Holland, and then they were like, it's broke. You're knowing a lot of pain. I was like, it's severely sore. They were like, you're going to need to like take some painkillers. Might need an operation, but I just kind of treated it myself and stuff. But I would have still been wrestling, so that's all. It was a pure. I fell out of love with wrestling for a bit after that. I was like,
understandably so, man.
I was like, it doesn't love me. I'm not playing with it anymore. That pure like childish thing, like leave me alone.
No, it's understandable as well, especially if it is such a touch wood. I've been lucky. I've never had any serious injuries. But I would imagine that, see, like, if something, this might sound weird, but see if something majorly went wrong and you got hurt, I think that would maybe be easier to take than some freak accident like that. Do you know what I mean? Because
it's not even a freak accident, just I'm a dirty bastard sometimes when I just fall all the time. Like, like if it's icy outside, you don't let me go out because I will fall and hurt myself. It's not even funny. But it was just me being a poor special person. But then I fell out of love with wrestling. I was like, what can I do to get back in? Because I can't wrestle. Then obviously last year when we got told to stay inside and kind of get fat, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to just set up a podcast and start talking to wrestlers and reviewing shows and stuff.
Quite right.
So the other question we always have is, who's your favourite wrestler of all time? Who's the one person you'd be like, that's my guy? Apart from yourself, obviously.
My favourite growing up, I'd probably say, or probably right through, I'd probably say it was Undertaker. I was always sort of drawn to the character, and then like when I was younger, actual, like I say, is the sort of character side of things, the sort of sports entertainment side of things. I found sort of fascinating. And then the older you got, the sort of more involved with wrestling you got, you started to really appreciate the actual matches the guy was having as well. Especially that run he went on. Maybe for he's maybe 19 or sort of no, fuck's sake, we're on the run for maybe his match with Edge at Mania, right through to his match with Punk, and the matches at Mania were always ridiculously good. So he was probably my main guy. I was a big fan of Kane as well growing up, but I don't know how much that was just because he hung about with Undertaker. I thought, well, if Undertaker thinks he's cool, I think he's cool as well. But if I had to put it down to just one guy, I'd probably say Undertaker. He's always been my favourite.
I mean, my last name's Kane, so you can imagine, where's your brother, the Undertaker? And very funny, leave me alone. And you can imagine the first day at like a wrestling training school when I found out my last name was Kane. It was just songs playing, people were like, so just leave me alone. And what's your favourite event of all time? Like, an event that you can sit and watch just all the time?
It's either Mania 17 or SummerSlam 02. If I was forced to pick, I'd probably go SummerSlam 02. I think, but both of them they're definitely my top two. My top two.
And for yourself, obviously, you wrestle. You're doing it. What's your favourite match that you've had? Like, what's the one that you would show somebody if you had to send somebody a tape, like back in the old days?
I think obviously I'm biased, but the match that me and Lou had at the Square Go where we actually won the titles off the Purge. I was really happy with that. And that one, obviously, more so than just winning the titles, that one meant quite a bit as well because kind of ever since we've been in ICW, we've always, somewhere or another, we've always found our way back to the Purge. We've always sort of fought each other. And when we first got our foot in the door as a team, the Purge had kind of just got their foot in the door as a team. So it kind of felt as if throughout the years we'd kind of been gradually rising up the sort of tag team division together. And then for us to actually have that, for them to come in as the champions after all of that, and then for us to beat them and actually get there ourselves, I was really happy with that match. Or failing that, myself and Lou had a match with IGN, which is Craig Anthony and Kieran Kelly. We had a match with a couple of matches with them, but one in particular at Airdrie Town Hall, which it was just one of the matches where just sort of everything clicked. Just fucking it better have done. We wrestled them enough. If it didn't click by that point, we were putting our boots on eBay. It was never going to work. But aye, they're probably my two favourites. I think tag team wrestling is my favourite type of wrestling. Like even if I was to go and just find one match to watch, it's tag team wrestling that I prefer. So obviously we tagging with Lou for as long. I tend to, if we have a good tag match, I prefer that to me having a good singles match.
Is there any reason that you like tag team wrestling better than single match? Just the dynamic of it, or?
I think it's for a fan point of view. I think they stand out more on the show. They can do stuff that no other match on the card can do because they've got more bodies. Obviously, there's a different set of rules in some regards. As an actual wrestler, I prefer it again because it's easier for us to stand out in the show. Do you know what I mean? Especially if you're on like ICW and almost everybody on the card is very, very good. Do you know what I mean? So it's difficult to stand out in that setting, but having the opportunity to do more or do certain sequences that other people can't because of the bodies, and then as well, like, for example, on family shows when me and Lou are the bad guys, it's a lot easier for us because there's more rules for us to break. I find it easier for us to get the crowd to hate us, and I just find it more exciting I just find it more exciting.
So, what's it like seeing like ICW and WWE Network yourself and stuff? What's it like being on there? Like, do you like turn it on just to like watch it and be like, yes?
No, well, it's surreal, man. It really is surreal. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. Like, obviously, understandably so. Do you know what I mean? Like how much work they've put into actually. I mean, behind the scenes, like the office, and that, how much work they've put in to actually get us on this platform, and then I can only imagine the stressful sort of phone calls and emails and that they were dealing with. But a lot of us, like we found out when that video went up on Twitter with Simon announcing it, saying on WWE Network, blah blah blah. That was the way a lot of us found out. I think the same way that kind of all the fans and that had for a number of years, there'd sort of been Chinese whispers, do you know what I mean? People saying, oh, such and such is going on the network, this is going on the network. You would maybe read stuff on Twitter. I remember reading stuff on Twitter years ago from Meltzer saying that they were going to introduce a tier system of the network and all that sort of stuff. But then when it actually happened, it wasn't just a case of, I think it would still have been surreal, but see if we'd maybe been told, oh, by the way, next month you're going on the network, we'd maybe have had time for it to sort of soak in, do you know what I mean? But the fact that they're like, right, new shows are going up in the network, and then like that Saturday or maybe the week after, I was like, fuck's sake, there I'm on the network. But no, it's been brilliant. It's been absolutely brilliant. I can't lie, I've been jealous of folk the last couple of weeks because only one of my matches hasn't up on the tapings yet so far. And obviously there's still another few to go up. So every week, every Saturday when there's a new show going up, I'm going on saying, right, is there another match? And I'm like, fuck's sake, I'm bored of watching Lou wrestle. I've had the best seat in the house to watch Lou wrestle for fucking 5 years now. Do you know what I mean? Like, put me up. But no, it's mad. It really is. It's mad, and it's an achievement that regardless of what happens between now and when I stop wrestling, they can't take that away from you. Do you know what I mean? And it's something that's always going to be there. Do you know what I mean? You can show other people. It's something that we're all proud of, and all the people that put in a lot of work to get us there. I mean, like through the years, the sort of times we were talking about. Do you know what I mean? Like when obviously, like long before folk like me and Lou and that came in, like the amount of work that people put in to actually build the scene, and then obviously build ICW to the stage where they're on the WWE Network. We can never really repay that.
100%, man. Seeing how far it's came for, like when I said Maryhill Community Centre with like 6 people with it, and it was like during the day and stuff like that. So it was like poor, like nobody was there. It's insane to like turn it on to the network and see people that like go to the doctors that I go to and stuff. I see them walking around the street and I'm like, that's that guy after. But if it was me personally, I'd just be gloating all day. Like anybody I had in my house, I'd be like, oh, look what's on the telly, it's me.
Well, I used to, I'm really tight with like Dean Ford and a couple of guys like that with a group chat. It's me, it's Dean Ford, it's Jason Hyde and Matt Tyson with a group chat, and I was forever winding them up, like winding them up, try getting them to call me WWE superstar and all that. And then one of my matches went up. Obviously, the match went up, and the first, like the new shows that went up, the first one of mine went up, and then I didn't know that fucking the next 3 weeks there was fucking matches of Dean's went up. So now obviously I spoke too soon, and now Dean's slagging me because Dean's had about 5 matches more than me up in the network, so I'm never going to hear the end of it. I keep getting big timed off him, so
it's not how many it's up, man, it's how you use them.
Aye.
No, man, it must be so cool to see like yourself on that. Like I would probably put Mark out like a big lassie if I was on the like. What's your thoughts on the WWE Network? I know ICW's on it, but I mean, like before that, when it was just like the WWE product with WCW and that, do you love it or do you think it could be better?
I like it. I'll be honest. It's quite. it's quite rare that I would go and watch like old WWE shows, to be honest with you, because obviously you've seen the vast majority of them. But I really liked it for going back and watching like shows that I'd never seen. Do you know what I mean? Like when we first got it, I went through a real binge of like WCCW and that, watching like the Freebirds against the Von Erichs and stuff like that. I really like that about it. In terms of the overall thing, do you know what I mean? Like, can I complain about it? Do you know what I mean? Like, can you imagine when me and you were a wee? Can you imagine if we'd all that wrestling at our fingertips? Do you know what I mean? You've already spoke about needing to go into the Forge and buy all your videos and stuff. Could you imagine if you had this at your fingertips, man? It's amazing.
I mean, I would have never left the house, to be honest with you. But like, I'm the same. I love it. I've had it since when it first came here, and it was like that terrible interface when it was like when you have any continue watching stuff or anything, it would chunk like pure clunky and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm the same as you. I don't really go back and watch like stuff that I've already seen. I try and watch things that I've not seen, but there's so much to watch that you could probably pick like a new thing a day and you'd still be there like 4 or 5 years later.
And the thing as well, see the last couple of years, like obviously like people always talk about how good the production team and that is, but see the last couple of years, see like the 24 series or nowadays the Day Of or the Chronicles and that, they're brilliant, man, and there's new stuff going up almost every week. It's really, really good. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was only a couple of days ago I watched the APA one, and I thought that was brilliant as well. Do you know what I mean? It's just they've constantly got new content for you. I do wish they would bring back that Swerve, but I quite enjoyed that. Swerve, and then they've taken that off. So fuck them. The network's shite. Fuck them.
That one thing, cancelling it, making a complaint, 1-star review. I mean, so the one thing we always ask as well is if you could go back at any time and compete in any match. Now, I've asked this before, and like 3 people have said to me they would never compete in a match in the past. So you don't need to say it. I don't know why they say it to me, but they did. So any match at all in the past, any type like kind of event or anything, what would it be? What would it be like? For me, it would be going up against like Bret Hart at like SummerSlam or something like that.
I don't know. Actually, they're so. I'd like, in terms of crowd, I'd want to compete at the first or no the second ECW. Sounds weird. The second one night stand. In terms of who I'd want to wrestle, you'd need to say Cena, because the reaction he got that night was meant. That was like it was like a football match. Do you know what I mean? Like I've never heard a crowd like hatred. It. The only thing you've heard close to it was again when it was Cena against Punk at Money in the Bank. But I think Cena's. You'd need to wrestle Cena, I think, because the reaction he gets off the crowd is, and that's what you love for, isn't it? When you're like, if you can get that reaction off a crowd, like nobody's going to see years and years and years from now. Unless you're ridiculously good, nobody's going to go. Oh, by the way, see the way that Krieger put on a headlock. By the way, like if you can get the crowd in the palm of your hand the way Cena has for fucking 15, 16 years now. Do you know what I mean? He's Cena's the man. I'd say that, but you know what I mean? Because obviously, in case he puts a word in for me with Big Vinnie Mac, do you know what I mean? So.
I'll tag him in it and stuff like that, man. But like, there he says, and but I know 100% that would be my second option, like somewhere like you said at ECW, the second one, the one night stand one, or like WrestleMania or something. Just something when it's just like people are like the crowd, you know. Well, obviously you know what it's like, but like I think it would be insane to like do something like with Cena, which would be obviously he's much older now, but the other thing that we normally ask is we'll talk about dislikes and positives. What's one thing that you would like to change about the crowd, how they perceive wrestling? Would you like them to think would you like kayfabe to be back? Would you like
I don't think you're ever going to get that back. Do you know what I mean? That doesn't bother me that much. Do you know what I mean? It's like, see when I go see the Avengers, I know it's not real. Do you know what I mean? But I fucking see for however long you're at the show, you enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't come out of there thinking that everything that I just watched a documentary. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't mind that. Like, so I'm not one of the ones that kayfabe and that bothers me. The one thing that I probably would wish would change was I'm trying to think of an example. But see if somebody gets beat on Raw or AEW, then apparently they're buried. Do you know what I mean? Whereas nobody actually, and I know it's probably changed now because you're never going to get you're very rarely going to get the whole 6 months to a year build for a big match. Everything does move quicker now, I get that, but nobody waits to see what the end result is. Do you know what I mean? Like, people are going to lose. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at the bloody Avengers, like, to use that example again. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the Civil War, no, what was the second last one where Thanos actually did click his fingers? You know the one I'm talking about?
I don't think I talk about it. Don't have a clue about the name.
Aye, so he obviously clicked his fingers. Do you know what I mean? Like, the Avengers lost that. Do you know what I mean? The Avengers lost. Like, and I'm pretty sure that the next film still drew in big money, and nobody says, "Oh, I'm not going to see that." They've ruined the Avengers now because they get beat. Do you know what I mean? Like, see if we then went to see that last film and it was utter shite, then come out and say, "Oh, they fucked that. They should never have done that." But wait and see how it finishes first before you make up your mind about whether you liked something or not.
100%, man. With wrestling as well, like with WWE, like that's never half. Like, it's always like the stuff with Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens just now. People are like, "Oh, it's going on too long," and it's like, well, you say that it's no long enough, then they make it long. But I get what you mean. Like, people, let's just have matches. That's what you do. Like, it needs to be a winner and a loser.
Aye. Do you know
tell the story, get a wee bit of time. But you know what it's like on Twitter and stuff like that. People just want like, or just the way everything is just now. Everybody wants.
Don't get me wrong, but like, there is plenty of times that a story does finish and you go, "That was fucking shite." Do you know what I mean?
No, there's a lot of times when that happens, but
like I said, but see with the amount of content that the companies are putting out, no everything's going to be a hit. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be some fucking shite on it as well, isn't there?
100%. Like, they can't hit the ball at the park every time. Like, you've got the Nia Jax stuff with the Mahal, which has obviously just been set up to go viral. You know what I mean? Like, but I wish people would just let stuff like play out. That's the same for me. I would just rather I just watch it. Like, sometimes I'm on about it, but I'll still watch it when I've got the chance to.
Aye.
And finishing up, man, what's one thing you would say to somebody about getting into wrestling if they want to start it? What would you recommend them to do? Eat their vitamins and stuff like that.
Just have like, if like a sort of kind of practical bit of advice would be, and this is rich coming from me given the year I've had with fucking lockdown and that, but like, it took me ages to actually get some sort of diet plan made, and I was just I was in the gym a lot, but I wasn't really getting anywhere because I was eating wrong. Do you know what I mean? So the sort of the boring answer would be like, be smart about it, like, invest in yourself, get a diet plan and stuff like that, and then you'll see a real difference. But the main thing is just have fun. Do you know what I mean? Like, far too many, and myself included at times, I'm no immune at all. But we see for a bunch of folk that fucking wear spandex and fight with each other, like, so many take ourselves far too serious. Do you know what I mean? Just have fun, man. Have fun, and then see if it hits the point where, and it might hit that point for me. I hope not, but see if it ever hits the point where the amount of fun you're having, you don't think justifies how sore you are or like how stressed you are. Because obviously in front of big crowds and that, you get stressed. You know what I mean, in front of any crowds, I get stressed. You're nervous. But see if the amount of nerves that you have outweighs the amount of fun that you have when you're actually out there, like, it's not worth it. Do you know what I mean? Because, like I said, and you know yourself, you've done a bit of training, it's sore, do you know what I mean? That, like, you hurt. So just have fun, enjoy yourself, and don't take yourself too seriously, man. Like I said, we're all bad for that. That's not me having a go at any people, because I know there's times where, like, I take myself too seriously, but that's just fucking. Do you know what I mean? Let's remember what we're doing. Do you know what I mean? We're all fans, man. Let's just have a laugh.
Man, I think that goes for any point in life as well. Like, don't take things too seriously. You can't be like full scale. You know the types of people that are just like serious all the time.
Yeah,
and you're just like, calm down, man.
Yeah.
Where are you going? I mean, like, are you
I know.
so aggressive about life, mate?
I know, it's exhausting, man.
Anyway, man, if you wait there, I'm going to end the podcast, and I'll ask you some things after it.
Any worries at all, mate.